Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you've ever wondered what's really buzzing under the surface of the global economy, well, you're in the right place today. We're taking a deep dive into an industry that's maybe surprisingly not just surviving, but really thriving. The global digital printing press market for commercial printers. Our mission today, to unpack the numbers, see who's leading the charge globally, and really get a handle on what this growth actually means. And just so you know, all our insights are coming from a pretty comprehensive source. The Global Digital Printing Market Forecasts 2021-2033 by Cognitive Market Research.
Right. And if you're thinking, isn't print kind of fading in the digital age? Well, you might need to rethink that. Commercial digital printing isn't just expanding, it's showing really robust dynamic growth. It definitely challenges those common ideas about print being dead.
Okay, let's dig into that. We've got some pretty impressive global figures here that really highlight this. So the digital printing press market for commercial printers, right, valued at over $21.6 billion in 2021.
Which is already a substantial number.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's projected to shoot up to over $51.5 billion by 2033.
Wow, nearly doubling.
Yeah. That's a strong 7.5% compound annual growth rate, KGR, across that whole period. What does a steady growth rate like that 7.5% tell us? Especially for an industry maybe seen as, traditional.
Well, what that sustained KGR really signifies is a market that's incredibly adaptive. It's thriving. It's not about just churning out identical items anymore. This growth shows businesses increasingly need agile, on-demand, and highly personalized print.
Like custom packaging, maybe? Or targeted marketing?
Exactly. Think custom boxes, variable data campaigns, short-run brochures, things that need a quick turnaround. Digital printing offers a kind of nimbleness that, well, traditional methods often struggle with.
Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. Because the growth isn't uniform everywhere, is it? The global picture is quite diverse, Asia-Pacific, for instance. Our source flags it as a major growth engine. It actually has the highest regional CEGR, clocking in at 8.262%.
And that high rate isn't just a blip. We're talking about growth from around $5.2 billion in 2021, projected up to $13.5 billion by 2033. The scale and the sheer speed of growth there, it points to a really dynamic environment. Digital printing seems perfectly placed.
How so?
Well, it's riding the wave of booming e-commerce, which needs tons of personalized packaging. Plus, you have a growing small and medium business sector using digital print for, agile, localized marketing.
And within Asia-Pacific, some countries really pop out. China is set to hit nearly $5 billion by 2033. But the real headline grabber, I think, is India. It's showing an astonishing 9.012% CAGR.
Over 9% annual growth, that's huge.
It makes it the fastest growing country in the whole data set. And Southeast Asia is also strong, over 8.5% CAGR. What do you think is pushing India's growth so much faster, even compared to China?
That's a great question. India's incredible growth, it seems to be a mix of things, according to the source. You've got a massive, digitally savvy population fueling e-commerce, think custom delivery boxes, promotional inserts, that sort of thing. And there's also this rapid modernization happening in their commercial infrastructure. Digital presses offer a cost-effective way to kind of leapfrog older tech. Plus, they can meet diverse regional language print needs really quickly. China's growth is big, definitely, but India seems to be in this phase of just rapid, widespread adoption for these specific uses.
Fascinating. Okay, so from that explosive growth in Asia-Pacific, let's shift our focus over to North America. It's still the largest market overall, right?
Yeah.
A hefty $9.194 billion in 2021.
Correct.
And it's set to more than double, hitting over $21 billion by 2033. That's still a very healthy 7.29% CAGR. What does that steady growth in such an established, mature market tell us? Is it a different story than Asia-Pacific?
I think it is, yeah. North America's strong growth suggests something different from, say, an emerging market boom. Here, it's more likely driven by, ongoing tech upgrades, companies replacing older, maybe less efficient gear with advanced digital presses.
Makes sense.
And it also shows how established businesses are evolving their use of print. We're seeing more highly personalized direct mail, high-quality promo materials, custom short-run publications, things where digital's flexibility and quality really shine.
Right. And it's not just the U.S. driving this in North America. Canada's showing strong growth, too. Their market's projected to almost triple, hitting nearly $2.5 billion by 2033. That's an 8.123% CAGR.
Higher than the U.S. rate, actually.
Yeah. And Mexico is also on a significant upward curve forecast to reach over $2 billion at nearly 8% CAGR.
So even within a mature region, you've got dynamic expansion happening not just in the biggest player. It's quite broad.
Okay, next stop, Europe. This region presents a really diverse picture, doesn't it? Total
Yeah.
revenue expected to grow from almost $3.9 billion to over $8.8 billion by 2033. The overall CAGR is about 7.1%.
Yeah, and within Europe, it's definitely a mixed bag. You've got major players like Germany showing consistent growth, around 7.5% CAGR, and the UK is slightly higher, nearly 7.9% CAGR. So steady demand in those big economies.
But here's a little nugget I found interesting. The category Rest of Europe actually shows the fastest growth in the region, an 8.85% CAGR.
Huh. That is interesting. A pocket of high acceleration?
Yeah. What could be driving that? Faster growth there compared to, say, Germany or the UK.
That's a really noteworthy trend. It might suggest a sort of market split. Perhaps west of Europe includes some emerging economies, maybe in Eastern Europe, that are rapidly adopting digital print to modernize. They might be leapfrogging older tech, like we discussed with India.
Oh, okay. Less saturated markets catching up.
Potentially. They might just be starting from a lower base and catching up quickly. It certainly contrasts with countries like Switzerland and Luxembourg.
Right. The report showed them on the slower side.
Yeah, both growing around only 5% CAGR. It raises questions about market maturity, maybe specific economic factors. Are those markets already highly saturated? Or maybe their print needs are just different, more concentrated in specialized, lower volume areas. It's hard to say definitively from just this data, but the difference is stark.
Okay, let's move our focus now to the Middle East. It's showing quite a rapid climb. Projected to grow from just over $1 billion in 2021 to $2.73 billion by 2033. That's an impressive 8.072% CAGR overall.
Yes, and similar to other regions, that growth seems quite concentrated. The UAE, for example, has a remarkable 8.811% CAGR.
Wow.
And Saudi Arabia is also strong, 8.436% CAGR. This points towards countries actively, diversifying their economies, investing in infrastructure, developing new commercial sectors that just naturally pull in demand for modern printing.
But what's really striking here, I thought, was the contrast with the rest of Middle East.
Oh, yeah, it was low.
Extremely low, a growth rate of just 1.522% CAGR. That's actually the lowest growth figure in the entire source material we have.
That highlights really uneven development, doesn't it? Even within a region that's generally expanding fast.
It's like two completely different market realities coexisting in one broad region. Very significant difference. All right, how about South America? Also showing solid growth. Yeah. Revenues expected to more than double from $1.32 billion up to just over $3 billion by 2033. That's a 7.244% CAGR.
And Brazil is clearly the heavyweight there. Its market's projected to grow from over $500 million to nearly $1.4 billion. That's a 7.446% CAGR. Reflects its economic scale, really.
And interestingly, Colombia shows slightly higher growth, rate-wise, 7.577% CAGR. Steady upward trend there, too.
It's consistent growth across the board there, it seems.
Okay, let's round out our world tour with Africa. Currently the smallest market, starting at $0.93 billion in 2021. It's projected to reach over $2.2 billion by 2033. But its CAGR, 6.316%, is the lowest regional rate we've seen. What is that comparatively slower, though still significant growth? Tell us about Africa's market for commercial digital printing.
Well, Africa's growth, while lower than others, still represents quite an expansion, more than doubling. Key markets like South Africa and Nigeria are definitely leading the charge there, with CAGRs around 6.9% and 6.7%.
Okay.
So it suggests that while maybe infrastructure development is more nascent compared to other continents, there's still a clear growing need for accessible, flexible printing as economies modernize and commercial activity ramps up.
But again, we see that internal variation.
Exactly. Similar to the Middle East, the rest of Africa shows much slower growth, just 2.214% CAGR. It indicates that even within the continent, growth isn't uniform. There are likely specific regional challenges holding some areas back more than others.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Let's try and pull together the key trends from this whole deep dive. First, this surprisingly strong global growth for commercial digital printing. It's clearly not obsolete, it's thriving.
Definitely the top takeaway.
Second, the absolute dynamism of Asia-Pacific, especially India, leading the charge in terms of growth rate.
Yep, the speed there is remarkable.
Third, North America. The biggest market, holding strong, still expanding consistently.
The reliable giant, you could say.
And finally, these fascinating regional differences. Pockets of really high growth, like rest of Europe or the UAE, contrasted so sharply with areas of very low growth, like rest of Middle East, Switzerland, Luxembourg. It's a world of really varied momentum.
Absolutely. And if we try to connect that to the bigger picture, well, This sustained growth suggests a pretty fundamental shift in how businesses view print. It's not just about mass production anymore. It's
Mhm.
clearly about agility, customization, on-demand efficiency.
Right.
And those regional differences we've unpacked, they really highlight the varying stages of economic development out there, different rates of tech adoption, specific market needs driving demand, whether it's e-commerce in India, modernization in parts of Europe, or economic diversification in the Middle East. Each region really tells its own unique story about print's evolving role.
So, thinking about all this, what do these numbers really tell you, the listener, about how businesses are actually using print today? Does any of this surprise you, especially when we think about how digital everything seems? It does make you rethink the narrative, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's just an incredible story of adaptation and, well, growth. This deep dive really shows how, even in this digital-first world, commercial digital printing keeps evolving and finding its value.
Indeed. And maybe a final thought for you to ponder based on all this data. As digital printing continues on this varied global path, how might future innovations, think AI, more automation, perhaps sustainable materials, how might they reshape its role even further?
Yeah.
And what does all this imply for the supply chains, the creative industries, everyone who relies on this constantly shifting print landscape? Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating and clearly growing world of digital printing presses. We hope you feel a little more well-informed.